Good morning. Thank you everyone for joining us today to learn about the journey that we have been on to increase our statewide transparency around appointments. This is our third attempt at getting a bill enacted into law that accomplishes the goal that we can all agree on. SB 702 requires the Office of the Governor to issue an annual report with demographic information of individuals appointed to the state's 420 boards and commissions. This is not a partisan issue, as is evidenced by the strong bipartisan support SB 702 has received in our legislature. I believe this report will show that in the past couple of years, the appointments made by Governor Newsom have improved the diversity in gubernatorial appointments. However, there is still needed work to achieve geographic, gender, ethnic, and veteran representation on these 420 boards and commissions. I want to be clear that this bill is not about pointing fingers. This bill is about ensuring our commitment to diversity remains regardless of who leads our state. This bill is essential to gather facts to help us institutionalize best practice and the gains made to diversify by our state boards and commissions. I believe that you cannot fix what you cannot see. And the annual report is an important tool to identify gaps in representation, encourage outreach to communities, and address barriers in seeking appointments. We must hold ourselves accountable, especially when our own state law has an express commitment in statute to ensure boards and commissions are diverse and reflective of our state. That's 58 different counties with a whole lot of different people. However, there currently exists no mechanism to measure this commitment. Over the last 3 years, changes have been made to the bill to address the concerns raised and to achieve a California that looks like us. Over the last few months, our state representatives have doubled down on ensuring that we uplift and celebrate our state's diversity in many policy areas across our state. I truly hope that this year, when the governor will agree that the collection of gubernatorial appointee demographic data is a critical step to achieve and maintain geographic, gender, and ethnic equity at the executive level. Next, I want to invite Helen Taurus on behalf of our sponsor, Hispanas Organized for Political Equality, to speak on behalf of the bill.
Good morning. As stated, my name is Helen Taurus. I'm the Executive Director and CEO of HOPE, Hispanas Organized for Political Equality. We are here because transparency in gubernatorial appointments matter. We are here because diversity in gubernatorial appointments matter. And we are here because of 3 years in a row, SB 702 in previous versions by Senator Limón has been vetoed by the governor. Governor Newsom often says that California is one of the most diverse states in the world's most diverse democracy. Yet there's little transparency as to whether that diversity is reflected on important, powerful boards and commissions that make decisions impacting the lives of diverse communities every day. If we are serious about creating a California for all, we need to know if all Californians are represented in gubernatorial appointments. And this isn't groundbreaking. There is precedent. Currently, the Judicial Council collects and releases demographic data relative to gender, race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, veteran, and disability status for the courts, justices, and judges. There is also an effort the governor supports to ensure gender parity on corporate boards. So we ask, why not California boards and commissions? One of the fundamental tenets of successful democracy is fair representation. What SB 702 will do is ask that the public is more informed about who is representing them on these boards and commissions. It requires the state to report aggregated demographic information of individuals appointed by the governor, and that information is published by the governors on the governor's website. Demographic information is voluntary reported. So we're standing here today represented by several members of large statewide coalitions who believe the time is now. The time is now to do the right thing and publish demographic information on who represents us on the state boards and commissions. when other states are banning books and ethnic studies and making it harder for diverse communities to see themselves in government, the time is now for California to be an example by showing what an inclusive state of belonging we are. So the time is now for Governor Newsom to sign SB 702. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Michelle Teran Woolfork, and I am the Policy Director with the California Commission on the Status of Women and Girls. For the last nearly 60 years, the Commission has been on the front lines advocating for policies and budget allocations that center the needs, significant contributions, and boundless potential of our state's diverse women and girls. After decades of research, outreach, advocacy, and statewide leadership, there is one thing that we at the Commission know for certain. The structures of our government, media, infrastructure, education, and the landscape of our economy were not originally built with women in mind. And as such, despite recent efforts to move us all toward equality, nothing is truly gender neutral. But more than that, we know that women do not lead single-issue lives. Our gender is but one facet of the experience of half the state's population, and it cannot be divorced from our other identities such as race, age, disability, parenthood, or sexual orientation, just to name a few. In November 2022, the Commission published an original research report in partnership with the California Policy Lab titled The California Blueprint for Women's Pandemic Economic Recovery. This work analyzed the pandemic's impact on women and, by extension, the state's economy and the persistent structural disparities that were exacerbated by the crisis. The blueprint recognizes women as more than just caregivers, but also as key drivers of industry, entrepreneurs, community leaders, small business owners, homeowners, and vital workforce participants comprising the bulk of essential industry employees such as nurses and teachers. The blueprint focuses on working women who were uniquely burdened by the pandemic's impact to specific industries, minority groups, and working parents. When analyzing existing available state data for research, it became clear that robust intersectional data on populations of women was severely limited and at times unavailable. The Commission applauds the efforts made by the current administration towards diversity of representation in appointed positions, leading to the opportunity to open new doorways or even greater complexity of experiences to have at the table. SB 702 is an important second step taken after years of incredible progress by this administration to ensure that California's government truly reflects the complexity and value of the state's entire population. And to that effort, it must include the layered knowledge base and intersectional experiences of women. And now I would like to invite up Cesar Montoya with the UCLA Latino Policy and Politics Institute.
Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias. My name is Cesar Montoya. On behalf of the UCLA Latino Policy and Politics Institute, it's an honor to be here with all of you and to stand alongside this coalition of leaders. We continue to move forward united in our commitment to a more inclusive and equitable California. California's strength comes from the rich diversity of voices that shape our communities, a mosaic of backgrounds, perspectives, and dreams. At its core, SB 702 is a tool to empower every Californian community by ensuring that our boards and commissions reflect the true makeup of our state. Last year, the UCLA Latino Policy and Politics Institute released an analysis of Latino representation in the governor's appointments to 45 critical commissions within the state's agencies and departments. The report found that Latinos have the largest representation gap amongst all racial groups, with only 164 Latino appointees in these roles, or 18.4% of executive appointments. Among women, Latinas remain the most severely underrepresented among these appointments. This lack of representation means that despite Latino students making up the majority of the state's K-12 education system, our community remains underrepresented in our state's educational boards. And despite our community being a driver in the growth of the state's labor force and job creation, Latino inclusion continues to lag behind in workforce development and economic opportunity boards. And despite various recent victories with the appointments of the first Latina Chief Justice to the California State Supreme Court and the first Latino U.S. Senator to represent California, it's clear that there's much work that remains. As we gather here today, we stand united in our support for this initiative and in our shared vision of a California where every voice matters and everyone, regardless of their background, can have a seat at the decision-making table. SB 702's call for transparency and accountability resonates deeply with all of us because its time is much overdue. Our government must ensure that representation is not a token gesture, but a living reality. Our state is defined by its ability to recognize the value of diverse viewpoints, always drawing from the richness of cultures, and our government must continue to live up to that standard. The passage of SB 702 isn't just about data access, it's about progress. Let's ensure that the decisions made in the halls of power resonate with the needs of every Californian community. SB 702 is our vehicle to continue answering that call. I'd like to thank Senator Limón for her dedication and her leadership throughout this process. Thank you to HOPE and to all the organizations and leaders here today standing side by side, unwavering in a determination to build a better California. Thank you, everyone. And now I will be followed by Maria Hernandez of the National Political Women's Caucus.
Thank you. I don't think so. I think I'm good. Good morning. My name is Maria Hernandez, and I'm with the National Women's Political Caucus. The National Women's Political Caucus is actively engaged at the national, state, and local levels to achieve gender equity in both elected and appointed public positions. Our efforts are deeply intersectional, ensuring that the diverse tapestry of the state is well represented. While women constitute just over half of the state's population by a slight margin, it's noteworthy that the state is predominantly composed of minority groups. Latinos form the most significant single demographic, accounting for nearly 40% of the population. Given its rich diversity, this state should serve as an exemplar for a multi-ethnic and multicultural democracy. However, it's critical to ensure every individual is given a voice. Being appointed to gubernatorial roles is a pivotal initial move in fostering equitable representation of citizens in governance. Our democracy and our governance are more impactful when it reflects our communities. Therefore, it's vital to have data on how closely these appointees mirror the demographic makeup of California. The National Women's Political Caucus of California strongly urges the legislature to pass and Governor Newsom to sign SB 702. It's a common sense transparency measure that will ensure that California's gubernatorial appointments reflect California's population. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce Nancy Yap, with Executive Director of CAUSE.
Good morning, everyone. Hello, my name again is Nancy Yap, Executive Director for the Center for Asian Americans United for Self-Empowerment, also known as CAUSE. Asian Americans and Pacific Islander communities are diverse and fast-growing. We have many needs, many experiences, and many perspectives to bring to the table. CAUSE gets people involved, and I've met an increasing number of people who want to get civically engaged, be leaders who give back, and make sure our community's needs are met. Data can inform us where the gaps are, strengthen our collaborative partnership with the governor, and ensure all our communities are heard. Disaggregated data will help small communities be included, communities like Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander, and Southeast Asian communities, ensuring commissions and boards have the resources and perspectives that will bring creative solutions and set the stage to show how diversity can be a necessary piece of positive change. I urge Governor Newsom to sign on to SB 702 so we can address any gaps and celebrate the diversity that exists. Thank you so much to HOPE and to Senator Limón, who I will invite up for final remarks.
Thank you, everyone. I just want to thank our incredible coalition. This is a bipartisan measure. We have members of both parties who are co-authors of this bill, and you see here a reflection of really just statewide organizations and national organizations that wants to institutionalize the progress that we have made, and that is what is key here. So I thank you all for being here and happy to take any questions.
Explain
Yeah, so we've made a number of changes. One change from the very original version 3 years ago to now is that we actually had initially a task force put together that would help and assist in identifying a diverse pool, and that has since changed. And so we've made changes in this way. We've also, looked at the example that was given was the judicial appointments and how it's done to reflect some of the models of how they collect data and how they put it forward and how that cost is absorbed. So we don't know whether or not it will be signed. And I think that, I believe, as do the co-authors of this bill, as do others, that there is, support in the legislature. The legislature has passed this bill 2 years and is on its way of passing this for a third time with bipartisan support. So I think that the legislature has spoken, and so we hope that, every year is a new opportunity. Right. So I think that what we are seeing is you see individual data that is put out. It is not always for, the 420 boards and commission, and what we're asking for it to be aggregate, right? So right now you have to follow a press release on a daily basis to be able to do it and put it yourself together. So that's what this bill would do. It would put it together aggregate so we could have a better picture of the representation. And I think that the UCLA study that was put out, a research institution, is really critical in this piece. What we do know is from those that have started to accumulate some of the data with the third party is that we are missing some of that representation, including geographic, right? And knowing that not all 58 counties have that same level of representation on these important boards and commission. We believe that our governor has made so many firsts that are very, very critical, but our governor is terming out in a couple years. So how do we institutionalize the best practices that we've seen in this administration? And I think that for many of us here, it's not leaving it to chance, not leaving it to the next one. It's saying we want to institutionalize these best practices to ensure that we keep seeing the really important gains that we've seen under this administration.